they really start taking a look at what's going on. In fact, it's one of the reasons why in my personal life I'm very low key. I don't like to transmit this because I don't want that. It's one of my beliefs. I have certain beliefs about fame. I have certain beliefs about losses. You want to ask yourself, what are my beliefs about being right? What are my beliefs about being wrong? These two are very critical in trading. Do you have beliefs about changing your mind? All of these will influence what you are going to do in the market, and they're very critical for your success. So all of these beliefs about money, success, losing, being right, wrong, will affect your mental and emotional state. If you, for example, feel that when you're wrong, it's very negative, or maybe you feel that if you're wrong, that somehow makes you stupid, and you're in a trade and you get stopped out, and you believe that that meant you were wrong, how do you think that's going to affect you? I mean, think about it. If you really believe that, number one, being stopped out is somehow your fault and it means you were wrong, you're going to have to deal with that. Now, personally, I focus on, if I get stopped out, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means that the market stopped me out. But that's something that I had to focus on, and these questions will help you to do that. So if you don't focus on them, you run the high probability that, like my son Jaden, you're going to find yourself compelled to act in certain environments. I mean, you ought to see this poor kid. When he sees a dog, he just freezes. He's no longer what I would say in a conscious state or a zone state. He's not flowing from one moment to the next. He's in fact frozen in time and virtually unable to move, especially if the dog is approaching him, even if it's a friendly dog. So you'll find yourself missing out on raw information. In fact, my son, he won't notice if the dog is happy, its tail is wagging, it's licking him, all the signs that you or I, if we're not afraid of dogs, would normally associate with a happy, friendly animal. He completely misses out on all that information. In the same way, if we become fearful, or if we, in the example, think that getting stopped out means that we're wrong, we start thinking that we're not smart, or some other negative emotion, we are going to start missing out on the raw information the market's giving us. Trading will become painful because we're going to start to filter the information through our conscious beliefs. For example, if you're long and you believe the market's going up, how are you going to interpret the downticks? Well, you're really not going to focus on them. If you're short and you believe the market's going down, how are you going to interpret the upticks? Well, you're not going to believe that the market's going up. These are very critical areas that you've got to explore. Again, I've got some tools later on to help you out, which we'll get to in just a couple of minutes here. And these are the 7 deadly sins. These are the 7 most common mistakes that traders make. Now, I'm also going to give you the key to thinking like a professional, and this is a thinking and probabilities exercise. This is a critical tool for your success. These are going to help you to find and understand the process of making a mistake, and to help condition yourself to think in terms of probabilities. It's not just enough that we understand what the mistakes are. We've got to understand what happens as we get into the process of making the mistake. When my son starts to become afraid of the dog, he goes through a process. Now, he's too young. He's only 5. I have no idea if he even realizes what they are. Hopefully, by the time he gets older, I can help him work through some of these fears that he has. But as adults, we can understand the process, and we can cut it off. We can nip it in the bud. Okay, we've covered a lot. These are probably some very new ideas. This section, more than any other, you probably should listen to a couple of times. But if there's anything that's not clear, or you want me to help you with understanding, you want me to let you know where I'm getting some of this information from, I've got other resources for you, some different books by other authors that you can read that have helped me and other traders. Then the 2 that I would highly recommend that you get are both the Market Wizards books, because you're going to be able to see how professional traders like myself deal with some of these issues. You're going to see them